Hey everybody, welcome back to another RCT2 review. We continue our head-to-head 9 reviews with round 6 match 2. This is the manual laborers versus the scream queens. We'll start here with manual laborers. This is Wickerdale. 50% of this part goes to Jens J, 38% goes to Soramot, 12% goes to Shen Kitchen. So this match was interesting in that both of the parks went for a no custom scenery map, which is pretty interesting. First of all, that we had two of them, much less two that went against each other, and so far into the contest here in round 6. So some pretty interesting moves there for one. What's cool about this one is the three builders here coming from Dirklink server, and you definitely get a lot of that vibe of those sorts of monthly contest type builds here in head-to-head. So not something that we've typically seen a whole lot of, but it's kind of refreshing to see it. So let's dive on in and see what we've got here. So we've got this sort of English type castle feel to it. A very dark palette with the dark water and everything. Palette certainly got a lot of comments in the reviews. I personally am never a huge fan of the darker colored water, but it doesn't work too badly here. And the only complaint that I would have is that it somewhat overshadows your coaster here in the black. But let's take a look at this coaster here coming off the lift hill, because it's pretty substantial. I mean, it's nothing, entirely fantasy, but it's definitely got some kind of fantastical type elements to it. So pretty cool layout here, dropping down the mountainside. It's huge for one. Let's spin around here and watch the big drop here, double down off of the mid-course brake run, down underneath the bridge for the signature loop around the bridge itself, and then some ending stuff over here, and then over to the this kind of rock work on the side. So back here at the front, let's kind of start here. We've got these great towers, cool crests here, especially with the Wickerdale name and just kind of detailing on it. Cool architecture, a little bit big. One of the other comments was the scale of everything was a little bit large compared to Peep scale, which is kind of typical of a fair number of the DK type maps, but I don't think it hurts it too badly for the overall. I think more so for me, what struck me was the amount of details in here. So you got this cool, lifting water bucket here, water feature coming up and down. You've got the food stands up underneath here with the suspended monorail. One of the ones that I really liked here was this well, using the rotodrop car. Very clever idea for the just use of that, kind of trying to add in curves and things like that. More shops and stalls down here using the river rafts and everything like that. Very nice boats. Once again, single rail coaster being the MVP of track texture, also used here on the coaster supports, which are very nicely done on the whole thing. I think this is a fun little ride here. This mine ride with the crossing right in the middle of there. I hadn't really seen something in this kind of shape and layout, and it was a pretty neat, fun idea. I thought, honestly, something that I could very well see myself using in the future. And then this ride up here, we have a Gerstlauer Skyfly, or Skyfly is the one with the arm. Skyroller is the one on the tower. Unfortunately, it doesn't operate where it spins around and the riders can kind of flip themselves over. But the fact that it even has a dummy ride underneath of it that everybody can queue up and still go into the platform, that helps, makes a big difference in my opinion. Then you've got this cool harvester combine thing going on underneath. I liked the use of the maps here, or the maze here, as the wheat farm, so you can kind of see that just scattered throughout and sort of at different heights and kind of glitched in there, and actually worked surprisingly well. It was more interesting and clever than I thought it might be. And some more details here. We've got the great sign here. It's been 1897 days since the last vampire attack. And then we have our quite ominously named Awakening right next to that big sign. Queue in the courtyard, which I think is quite nice. And then this tower itself here, which is, or dome, I guess, more so, Very nicely done from an NCSO standpoint. And then all the glass objects and everything else throughout the space. Here's another cool dome kind of or pinnacle to the tower with the curved elements kind of wrapping around. It's definitely interesting seeing how some of these types of features are recreated with track and things like that. Um, I think it's just telling that we're still finding interesting ways to do all of these things and make it look not bulky, not bad. You take, for example, this piece right here, this Martian object from the base game, here now being used as a little tower here for a shop. Something that you wouldn't normally expect to see as far as how that goes. So lots of great little details in here, lots of cool things to see. Nice layering and height variation. I'm a huge fan of seeing height differences, which it's kind of funny. It's something you don't see on a ton of larger park, solo park submissions, but you do see in head-to-head because you're forced to shove all your stuff into 3600 tiles or less. So because of that, we're going to go layered, we're going to go tall. So it's nice to see that sort of thing. Another shout out here for this bootleg half diagonal using the triangular geometric scenery pieces with the glass. So that's super clever, really good idea there in my opinion. And a lot of kind of fun detailing throughout. So great to see this. Great to see the little details here, like the folks here underneath the land here, looking at the cult table here. Course in the graveyard. So very, very cool idea here with the coffin being lowered down. And here's the guy here getting hung from the tree, so very ominous on that side as well. Nice telling a story across the whole thing. So anyway, that is Wickerdale. So congratulations to Manual Laborers for a cool, kind of unique park compared to what we have seen so far. And then we have the Scream Queens with the Architects. This is 80% from Alex, so pretty much a solo park, 15% Terry Inferno, and 5% from Phoenix Wing 101. Again, no custom scenery, a little bit brighter palette for one, and no, I don't think there's any expansion pack scenery in here. There might be, but anyway, we've got this kind of Martian landscape with kind of pyramid forms and some things like that, but another invert. So let's jump in with this really cool loop, kind of half small, half large, and a unique design. Feels surprisingly natural, actually, despite what I think looks a little weird typically. The landscape certainly helps it there. You've got a Batwing, nice little helix here, and mid-course breaks over top of the station. Turn around, and you've got the second half here that's in some trenches. Got that sort of Nemesis feel to it with the loop and the dive here, the final dive here underneath the pathway, and then our corkscrew into the brakes. So pretty nice layout to anchor the whole space together. And then we can kind of look at some of the peripheral stuff. We've got this absolutely fantastic looking ride here. This DNA sequencer that sort of goes up and then kind of dives on back down. You've got this UFO lights on top that kind of spin in both directions. I love the helix here. I love the kind of star-shaped floor with both the glass and the metal. Texturing is just really cool here in general. So all of these different pyramids have the glass overlaying on top of the land texture, which gives it a pretty nice texture, pretty unique. Definitely feels like an Alex thing since he was doing this in Ancient Worlds, so he's got a lot of experience with that no custom scenery type work. Right here, you've got the crops, doing your crop circle cutouts throughout, which is pretty cool to see. And then as we wrap around, we've got our secondary coaster over here. So this is a spinning coaster. One of the things that kind of set up for me on this one that I really liked was this big drop that goes down and over top of the water ride right here in the front. Unfortunately, with the base game cars, you can't really do a whole heck of a lot as far as bank turns, dive turns. So you can do the layout. You just kind of have to be okay with the fact that the car sprites aren't really going to do the same thing, which is honestly fine with me. I think the layout itself is cool enough that it works. And then, of course, the Rapids ride here, atypical for a Rapids ride in general, is a giant drop like this. Huge drop down, and then kind of wraps this whole space. This is a massive, massive ride. We click on this, we can see it's a 9-minute and 30-second attraction. Pretty darn huge, and wraps around the whole space. So I always like those sorts of things. It's got a very classic feel. You used to see these sorts of boat rides done in a lot of New Element parks where it was just a, say 10-minute attraction, and you're not necessarily going to sit and watch the whole thing go around, but there's all sorts of little vignettes throughout, like this big lift and drop, and then sort of a slow section here, and then you get this other lift and drop on this side with the station itself. The station is cool. I love these little Martian pieces here coming across with the cables from the cable car, and then more of the cutouts from the crops being used for the walkway in the queue area itself. More of these spinning UFO lights. I don't know if this is meant to be ships here on each little individual space. I like that they're a little different, each one. So there's something kind of unique in each side. This is a cool double layer ride here. So you've got the kind of flying saucers here below, and if you actually zoom in even further, you can see they've got the bubbling goo underneath that object plus the glass, so you get that purple tint to it, which is pretty cool. And then a swing ride here using the laydown cars, which is something you really don't ever quite see with being used in any kind of functionality. So very, very nice to see both of those taken care of. And then, things like the ride track here transitioning into the vertical sign that's just a blank. Clever ideas, good use of objects for one. I mean, really what it comes down to in a lot of this no custom scenery work is just how cleverly you can use an object to showcase the idea and still find new and interesting ways to do it. There's a crashed UFO up here in the side, which is kind of fun. Spin around here and see some of the dining area spaces. Again, the nice motif carried throughout, the reds, the tans, and the sort of pinkish coloration. Really doing the Martian landscape quite nicely, because you're not getting hit over the head with the red Martian rock, which I think is sometimes a pitfall of outer space type things, is you've got a fair bit of the dirt and everything else. You've got a fairly normal landscape package, but these jungle bushes and then these kind of haunted type trees being used for the sort of, I guess, vibe of more alien type landscape. So a good mix of things, and used pretty well. Nice lush landscape throughout the space. The queue elements here, used in combination with the purple support frame, is a nice use for covered spaces and just kind of awnings over top of different buildings. It's a great way to carry the motif throughout too, and to add some coloration to the palette, so giving it some cooler colors compared to the reds and the warmer landscape colors throughout. So something Alex is always very good at is balancing his colors and balancing his textures, and that really helps take care of all that right here. So very cool. And this was the park that took the victory. So 34-21 in favor of the Architects. So congratulations to the Scream Queens for their victory. Well, that's all for today. We will be back tomorrow with round 6, match number 3, featuring Logan's Run versus the Serial Killers. That'll be a 2-parter episode where we're going to do an inside look with the builder of Logan's Run, and then we'll also review Gangland. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.